Everyone, my name is Michael Lemmo, and I'm going to go through some of my favorite riffs. I'm here at Guitar World in New York City. Such a pleasure to be here. I'm going to have to start with my guy Eddie Van Halen. First time I heard this riff, I was actually in my dad's Porsche 928, so it was the perfect setting. We were going all 80s, and he played the Volume 1 Best of Van Halen record, and I heard this riff, and I just never got over it. Still playing it every time I test out a guitar, and that has to be the one and only Unchained. So check it out. I'll only play a little bit of the intro, and I don't have it all the way down, but no one's got Eddie all the way down. So let's try it and see what happens. Now, the thing I love about that riff is it brought me into the world of drop D. My guitar's a half step down right now, so make sure you take that into consideration. I believe his was too. That's probably the reason I do it. Yeah, just a monster riff. There's something always about that chugging thing, especially with drop D. But another thing I like about the riff is it starts off on that kind of major feel, which Eddie was kind of a king of kind of getting that, like, it's dark, but it's also got a brightness to it, and I love that. So that riff has inspired me forever. Like I said, if I'm testing out an overdrive, I'm playing Unchained. So that's my first riff. So this next riff is a Beatles song. It's called "It's Only Love," and after working at Norman's Rare Guitars, I gained a new appreciation for learning these Beatles songs, but the melody included. And it just kind of shows you the universe of music. If you can figure them out by ear or any which way, it really opens up your mind. And this melody always just breaks my heart in a good way. That early Beatles stuff, when they hit those right songs, it's unbeatable. So yeah, let's check it out. It's definitely some stretches here, but it's a really beautiful piece. So let's check it out. So it's just a beautiful melody, and whenever you play Beatles songs, you don't need an audience sometimes. You can just play those melodies by yourself, and it just makes you so happy. So it's a pleasure, and obviously, anytime you can figure out those Beatles songs, go for it, because it will educate you, and it'll just show you harmony and melody and everything you need to know. So that's another one of my favorite songs. So this next song, my favorite riff is If I Fell, another Beatles song, early Beatles. And this one took a while to figure out, but I had to figure it out because it just blew my mind. And sometimes my fingers get tangled, but it's worth it. So let's check it out. So that's just the intro, but it takes a lot just to get there. But it's totally worth it, and just another melody. I mean, it's just certain things you won't find unless you study the Beatles, and just a chromatic line chord-wise that ends up being so beautiful. So check it out. So this next riff is by the Allman Brothers, and I was very inspired by my father. He really got me onto Fillmore East, and he wore the record out many times, so we have multiple vinyls. Some of them don't even work because he played this song so much. It's called In Memory of Elizabeth Reed, and it just has such a beautiful sound, and you get to hear Dickie Betts and Duane Allman, the differences between the two, and Duane's kind of got this raunchier sound, and Dickie Betts has these scales that are just out of the box. And it's just an amazing song to create some atmosphere. I'm known at Norns for doing a lot of loops, and it's just kind of cool to set this one up. So we're going to start with my Ditto looper from TC Electronics, and let's see what we get. So that's a memory of Elizabeth Reed. It's a great way to create an atmosphere and just kind of play scales and just jam over a very lush background, and just amazing musicians. Barry Oakley on bass, and yeah, it's just a piece that never gets old for me and always reminds me of my father, who I love very much. So thank you so much. So this next riff is a classic, one of the first riffs I ever heard that made me want to play guitar, and that is the legendary Ain't Talking About Love by Van Halen. It's just kind of an A chord shape, but man, does he... Actually, this was a huge influence on my track Ultra, this riff, because he just utilizes that A minor position and gets this really kind of dark sound, but it just takes over your ears. So let's check it out. So that's Ain't Talking About Love. Big influence on my song Ultra, like I said before. And also that solo is so interesting because, you know, usually Eddie's flying and doing all these things, but you can hum that solo and remember the melody. And it also is a solo where you can apply it to a lot of alternative music too, like a lot of kind of new wave shoegaze stuff I like. They kind of have those melodies. And apparently he also doubled that with one of those choral sitars, which is really cool. And that's how you get that kind of ringy sound that he has on it. And those instruments are very interesting, but very fun to play. And I think they reissued them recently, Dan Electro. So yeah, it's a great riff. Check it out. So this next riff is by the legendary Stevie Ray Vaughan. Obviously, we hear this one all the time when people plug in a Strat or Fenders. And this is Lenny. Beautiful, clean sound, and it's just so comfortable in your hands. I think that's one of the main things that people always like to play it right away. Not only how it sounds, but it just really shows what a Fender can do. So yeah, let's check it out. So a beautiful riff. Like I said, just that first chord is just like a glove in your hand. It's just amazing. And of course, you have kind of those Hendrix stops where you go. All that is gold on a Fender, so. You know, I think one thing about all the riffs is they're eclectic. There's some clean stuff, there's some distorted stuff, and I love it all. And sometimes it's part of the problem with me making music because it's hard to decide what I like to do. But so those are a few of my favorite riffs. They're kind of the foundation of a lot of the music I play now. Make sure you check out my new record, Haunted. It's on all the streaming platforms, and like I said, you'll find a song like Ultra influenced by songs like Ain't Talking About Love, and it's great to be here in New York City at Guitar World. Signing off.